Hi everyone, I'm Amy Dudbridge from Amy Dudbridge Website Design, and in this video I'm going to share some tips with you about how you can keep your WordPress site secure. So having good site security is really important for stopping your website from falling victim to hackers or spammers. So hackers may place unpleasant images on your site, or they may place malware on there, which means that people visiting your site may receive viruses. And spammers can put unpleasant or ridiculous reading comments onto blog posts, or do a similar thing with leaving reviews on products if you have products on your website, for example. So if your site security is breached, then that can end up with the search engines either lowering how high your site appears on their search listings, and in worst case scenario they could blacklist your site altogether and prevent people from seeing it at all. So that both of those things can be really damaging to your reputation with your users and therefore your customers potentially. So that's why site security is something that's really important. So I'm going to go through some things that you can do on your WordPress site to make sure that your site is as protected as possible. First of all, this is just a demonstration site that I've set up here. So I'm going to go across to users, and on this users page you will see that the main administration user is admin. Now that is something that you really don't want to do, because that will be the #1 username that anyone trying to access your site will use. So first thing you need to do is to change that admin user to something that is a lot less easy to guess. So to do that, you need to add a new user first of all while you are logged in as admin. So you can go to add new, and the username, anything but admin basically. If you're using your name, then maybe consider putting some numbers on there to make it a little bit less easy to guess. If your name is published on your site somewhere, then people will also try to use that to log in. So I'm just going to stick a username there, and you will need to put an email address in. There we go, dummy email address. And then you'll need to access the password. So you can do your own, or as soon as you press that password button, then WordPress will automatically generate for you a secure password. So I'm going to make a copy of that. And I'm not going to send myself an email. The next thing you do is change the role, which will default as subscriber. You need to change that to administrator. So there we go, that's our new user all ready to go. The next thing to do is to remove admin as a user. So the way we do that is we go up to the top here and we log out as admin. Then we log in as the user we just set up. So exactly the same website, but now I am Amy38749. So back across to users. And now, because I'm logged in as somebody else, and because I have administrator privileges, then I am able to delete the admin user. So as simple as pressing delete. They don't have any content anyway, but if you have content that has been created as the admin user, you can pass it over to the new user, or you can just go delete all content. I'm just going to go attribute all content and confirm deletion. And that's it. Admin user is gone and your new, more secure user is in place instead. The next thing I'm going to do is to install a firewall on this WordPress site, and that will help to protect unauthorized login attempts. It will monitor activity on your site, so you can see if any plugins need updating. You can see if there's been anything iffy going on at all. It's a very useful thing that you can do for free. So to do that, you go to plugins on the left hand side and you go add new, and the firewall which I'm going to recommend is WordFence. And this is it here, WordFence Security Firewall and Malware Scam. Now there is a paid version of WordFence, but for most users the free version is going to be perfectly adequate. So I'm going to install that on here. And then once that's installed, we then activate it. Just try that again. There we go. And then you get the notification you have successfully installed WordFence. Please tell us where WordPress should send your security alerts. So I'm just going to put back in that dummy email address. I'm not going to join the mailing list on this occasion. Agree to the terms and conditions. Continue. Now you'll get the Enter Premium license key. You don't need to do this unless you are looking to have the paid version. You just click no thanks on here, and that's it. WordFence is installed. You can access it here on your menu on the left. And it gives you a little guided tour around what it does. The next thing to do is to take note of this box at the top to make sure your site is as secure as possible. Take a moment to optimize the WordFence web application firewall. Click here to configure. And it will ask you to download this file. So you download the file, press continue. And that is it. So now you have WordFence installed. You can allow it to auto update, which is always useful. And now you have immediate, much better protection for your website than you would have had before. Now the next plugin I'm going to talk about is Akismet, which is a plugin which helps to prevent spam. It's very effective at it. So WordPress will come with it already installed, not activated, so you are able to activate Akismet to get it going. And then once you go into there, it asks you to set up Akismet. So you go set up your Akismet account. You click the green button again. And you have the option here to choose your pricing. Now, when you are just setting up your site, it's not actually live yet, or if you are just having a personal site or a blog, then you can go to Get Personal. And on this slidey bar you have over here, you just turn that to 0. And you'll need to put in the site URL. Tick these boxes and continue with personal subscription. Then it gives you an API key, which you copy. And it says manually enter an API key when you click back over to your dashboard. and you just paste in that key which you copied on the previous page. And let that just connect. And there we have it. Akismet is now protecting your site from spam. You have some options here that you can work through to see if you want to set any preferences that are different from the default ones. So I normally leave these as they are. Always put spam in the spam folder for review, so you can check that nothing is getting put in there that shouldn't be. And then you can either display or not display a privacy notice under your comment forms if it is a blog where you're allowing comments. And that's it, that's all you need to do. So you can save your changes if you've made any, or just save them anyway. And that is Akismet all set up. So if you go to plugins now, we have Akismet and WordFence working to protect this WordPress site. So there's a third plugin which I would recommend in terms of site security, and that is called UpdraftPlus. So this is it here on the left, UpdraftPlus WordPress backup plugin. I'm going to install that and activate it. And what UpdraftPlus does is it creates a complete backup of your site for as often as you wish it to create that backup. So if you're not changing your site very often, then I recommend to do the backup weekly at least. If you have something where your site is regularly changing, then you may wish to set it to have daily backups. And that's now activated and prompting you to go in and set it up. So UpdraftPlus is really easy to set up. You can immediately press the backup now, although it is recommended that you go across to the settings first. And this is where you can choose your backup schedule. So change from manual to however many you want to have. So I'm just going to put weekly. And you want to have both the files and the database backed up, and retain however many backups that you wish to retain. So let's just put in 10. This will depend on the size of your site and the size of the storage space which you have available. So you can have several different places where you can save your backups. I very often use Google Drive. Dropbox is very useful. And there's also the option to email them. So if you just want to send them to your email account, you can do that. And you leave all of these alone. You want everything to be backed up. And save changes. And all you do is go to Backup Restore, click Backup Now. And when you first do press Backup Now, then you can click Only allow this backup to be deleted manually, i.e. keep even if retention limits are hit. So that basically means that you have a base backup of your sites that you can always refer back to. So if something happens to your site and you're not sure which backup to go back to, then you always have that base backup available. So for your first backup, and when you go in and you make a change to your site, it's always good to set one of these base backups on there. Then all you do is click Backup Now. It will create that backup for you. I'm not going to do it here because I haven't actually linked it to anywhere to send those backups, but as soon as you press Backup Now, it will give you a bar that runs across, tells you how much progress is being made. You go off and make a cup of tea, it takes a little while, and then it will send that backup to wherever you wish to store it. So very easy to install and set up UpdraftPlus, and it gives you that safe version of your site if anything were to happen. So that is it in terms of plugins on your site. While I'm on the dashboard, there's one more thing that I'm going to mention in terms of easy things that you can do to keep your site secure, and that is to make sure that you keep everything on your site up to date. So you can access this quite easy by going to Updates underneath the dashboard menu. When you have any updates to do, so that could be on WordPress, it could be on any of the plugins, or it could be on the theme that you're using, then it will appear in here. It will also appear in the top menu and next to whichever needs to be updated. So if it's plugins, it will appear next to the plugins as a red number. And that will tell you that you have updates that need to be done to your site. When you have WordFence installed, it will send you an email when you need to have updates done to your site. Basically, when the developers update WordPress or update a plugin, they are very often fixing any security issues that they found. So you always want to make sure you have the up-to-date version of whatever they've developed. So whether it's WordPress itself or a plugin or a theme, you always want the most up-to-date version to make sure that you have the most secure version. So that's something else that's really important to do. I recommend going in at least weekly to do that. And while you're there, then you can do a quick health check of your site overall on the actual site itself, just to make sure that nothing iffy has been placed on there, and to make sure that everything's looking as it should. So definitely do that at least weekly, and then you'll see any updates that need to be done and you can get those sorted. So my final tip in terms of keeping your site secure is your web hosts themselves. So you should always be using a well-known and reliable web hosting service. So they are ones who will keep their servers and therefore your website files where they are storing everything about your website. They should be keeping that maintained securely. In terms of good hosts that you could use, I tend to recommend SiteGround or WP Engine. They're both very good. I will provide links to those in the comments that go along with this video. They both provide an SSL certificate, so that's a secure sockets layer certificate with their web hosting packages. That basically means that where your URL would be HTTP normally, then it becomes HTTPS. And that means that your browser, or if you were using antivirus software that sometimes interacts with the browser, it will recognize your website as being a secure website and won't give users any warning messages that might put them off from visiting. So having the SSL in place is really important, and your web host should be able to help you get that in place. Some of them do charge for the SSL, and that can cost, it's normally about £20–25 a year, but definitely worth having. So those are all my simple steps that you can take to keep your WordPress site secure. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments, or to contact me using the details shown on screen now if you'd like any help putting them in place. I also wanted to mention that if looking after your site is just something else that is going to be on your to-do list that you would rather not have the hassle of doing, then I do provide a very affordable site maintenance service where I would look after your site security and then also do little updates to your content, fix any bugs that have cropped up on your site. And I also provide a monthly report of how people have used your website the month before. So feel free to get in touch if you would like to find out any more about that. So I hope this video has been useful to you. If so, I would be very grateful if you would like it and share it with anyone else who you think would be interested in watching it. If you would like to stay updated of any more videos from Amy Dudbridge website design covering WordPress tips and general website design tips, then please feel free to subscribe. That's it from me for now. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.